Okay guys, executive department na tayo, no? So before I start here, pakitandaan, no? Ito po ang pinaka-important, no? Executive department at saka legislative department ang pinaka-important na topics sa Consti 1. Okay? So ang prediction po natin dito, ang malamang na mangyayari din sa bar exam, at least two questions sa political law lalabas po sa Article 6 at saka 7. Hindi po pwedeng hindi. Every year ganyan. Okay? Tapos yung ano, sabihin natin kung 7 questions siya, yung the rest, no? Pwedeng 2, 3 questions dito. Yung the rest, pwedeng kunin sa Constitutional Commission, isa sa Judicial Department, tapos sa state immunity, immunity from suit, mga ganyan, no? Ganun po ang galawan normally sa Consti 1, no? Ngayon po, yung police power, eminent domain, saka taxation, general principles of taxation under the Constitution, malamang lalabas yan sa political law din. Alin sa tatlo na yun. Pero gusto ko siyang itackle sa Constitu dahil yung eminent domain po, laman siya ng Bill of Rights. So doon na lang natin siya itackle lahat. Pati po yung police power, magkapatid po sila ng ano ng Section 1, no, ng Bill of Rights. So doon po natin siya itackle. Pero may lalabas din pong tanong doon. Binubuo ko lang po para sa inyo yung mga possible na magiging question sa bar exam for political law. 6 and 7, you need to read it again and again and again and again. Maraming sections yan sa under the Constitution. Kailangan alam po natin lahat yun. Especially Article 6 kasi mas mahaba yun eh. Okay. Simulan po natin no, sa Executive Department. Ang huli po natin magiging topic sa Consti 1 is Legislative. Save the best for last. Okay. Simulan natin. Qualification. Ano po ang pinaka-important dito? Etong at least 40 years old na yan at saka ito resident of the Philippines at least 10 years at the day of the election. So ano po ibig sabihin nito? Tandaan niyo po, at the day of the elections, hindi at the time of the filing of the COC, hindi po at the time of the proclamation, hindi po at the time of the taking of the oath of office. Apat yan. Filing of COC, date of the elections, date of the proclamation, pag na-proklama na, at saka date of oath of office, yung oath of office. Apat yan. Tandaan nyo, ang tamang sagot dyan, day of the election. So sabihin natin, gawa natin ng senaryo, 39 years of age siya nung nag-file ng COC. Sabihin natin, ang filing October. Normally, October yan eh. 39 siya nun. Ang birthday po niya, January of the next year. Kailan ba ang eleksyon? May. Tanong, is he qualified to become a president or a vice president of the Philippines? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Kasi nga, by the time na nag-eleksyon, 40 anyos na siya. Okay? O, next naman. Paano kung ang birthday po niya, June next year? O, so May, June, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, nung Mayo, nung filing ng COC, 39 siya. Nung election date, 39 siya. Nung proclamation nung proclamation, 39 pa din siya. Pero, nung oath of office, nung taking of oath of office, 40 na siya. Sabihin natin ang birthday niya, June 5. Ang oath of office po, June 30. Oh, question. Is he qualified to become a president of the Philippines? The answer is no. The answer is no. Kasi nung bago lang po siya mag-oath at saka lang po siya naging 40. Kailangan 40 ka na nung election day. Sometime in May po yan, adjustable. Minsan May 15, minsan May 7. Depende po, no? Depende sa kung ano napupusuan nung election year na yon. Okay? O next tayo, no? Resident of the Philippines at least 10 years at the day of the election. So same lang po same lang ng principle, no. Reckoning period is at the day of the elections. By the way, no, before we move, ito po pala, no, ang tanong lagi, no, sa Constitution, ano ka lang to, story lang, pero hindi to matatanong sa bar. Sabi nila, attorney, bakit hindi gawing must be a college graduate yung mga tumatakbo bilang presidente at vice president ng Philippines? Ba't hindi po gawing gano'n, na college graduate, law graduate, no? Mga ganyan, postgraduate. Ba't hindi po gawing ganyan, no? Pero pag makikita niyo po yung parang maging COMELEC commissioner ka, maging COA commissioner ka, maging justice ka o judge ka ng sa judiciary, bakit matindi ang requirements? 'Di ba kapag COMELEC ka, dapat college graduate at least at dapat 'di ba majority nung members, sitting members, incumbent members including the chairman must be lawyers. O kapag COA naman, either CPA or lawyer, di ba? Tapos matindi dapat yung experience mo, 10 taong ka na sa serbisyo, sa profession, sa practice. Bakit po kapag legislative at saka executive, bakit di pala lahat ng executive? Bakit po pag president, vice president at saka pag congressman or senador, bakit po silang apat? Bakit able to read and write lang? Alam nyo kung bakit? Kasi kasi ang reason diyan, no, kaya able to read and write yan, kasi yung pong decision, no, kung sino dapat ang gawing presidente, vice president, senador, at saka congressman ng Pilipinas, dapat nag-reside sa tao. Kaya po mababa yung requirement niya. Kaya able to read and write lang, no? The decision must rest on the people kung sino gusto nilang i-elect. As long as able to read and write. Yun po yan. Pati sa US, ganyan lang din. No, hindi sa US Constitution, hindi po siya college graduate, hindi law graduate, hindi po ganun ang nakasulat. On the other hand po, sa COMELEC, yung mga yan, ba't matindi po yung requirement? Kasi hindi po tao ang magde-decide, ina-appoint lang po sila. Okay? Ina-appoint lang sila, hindi sila ine-elect. That's why yung pong mga appointive officials, matindi talaga yung requirement. Kapag ka nga undersecretary ka, may exam pa eh. May career service executive examination pa. No? Ganun po. Ano, yun ang pang reasoning dyan. Okay? Sige. Anyway, let's move. Di naman tatanong sa bar yun. No? Election. Ayan. Election, no? The Supreme Court, sitting and bank, shall be the sole judge of all contests relating to the election, returns, and qualifications of the President or Vice President. Possible bar question. Why? Kasi po, madaling gawa ng bar question to at matetesting kung ang tao, ang examinee, naintindihan ng Constitution o hindi. So, ganito gawin natin, no? Kailan po magkakaroon ng jurisdiction ang COMELEC hanggat hindi pa nag-oath of office. Proklama pa lang, saan mo ipa-file ang kaso kung gusto mo ipa-disqualify ang presidential candidate? Sabihin natin, American citizen daw. Saan? O kanino? Sa COMELEC po. Okay? Filing na COC, ipapatanggal mo yung COC kasi may material misrepresentation doon sa COC. Nilagay, natural born, nung pala naturalized. Or something like that, no? Saka magpa-file, COMELEC. Pero once nag-oath of office na po, Presidential Electoral Tribunal na, ano pa man ang topic, election, return, qualification. Why? Kasi at the time na nag-oath of office po, considered as president or vice president na yung ipapatanggal natin. Okay, anyway, impeachable officer yan, so limited tayo sa dalawa, di ba? Actually, ano nga ito eh, if you think about it, no, kung dito po sa Presidential Electoral Tribunal, magkakaroon po ba ng senaryo kung saan sa PET ka magpa-file? Isipin na lang natin. Sabihin natin, bago mag-oath of office ka pa proklama, magpa-file po ng protesta, no? Kasi mali daw ang counting ng boto, no? Nagkaroon ng dayaan, sabi nung petitioner, saka magpa-file COMELEC. Okay, COMELEC. O ngayon, paano kung nakasumpa na yan? Ito lang ako Ngayon gusto mo siyang ipatanggal bilang presidente o vice president ng Philippines. Gusto mo ipatanggal kasi sabi mo hindi siya qualified, no? Hindi siya qualified kasi nagtatago nung pala naturalized citizen lang. Question, saan ka magpa-file? Pwede ka mag-file sa PET. Para sa akin, hindi po. Ang style mo dyan, kuwaranto ka. Petition to the Supreme Court. Hindi PET. I get it, PET po, the Supreme Court sitting and bank. Di ba? The Supreme Court sitting and bank. Pero ang ano dyan, Supreme Court. You file a petition for kuwaranto to the Supreme Court. Di ba? Pero ito naman din, no? Ilang naman ang point ko, no? Parang ano, pwede mo sabihin na you filed the co-warrant of petition to the Supreme Court or pwede mo sabihin to the PET. Yung pala yung point ko. Kasi nga, is the PET a separate tribunal from the Supreme Court? No. PET was constituted in implementation of Section 4, Article 7. So the provision states Supreme Court sitting en banc means that the PET is not separate from the court. So kayo, ang pwede nyo sagot, ito lang pala yung point ko, no? Sabihin natin, di ba naka-out of office na? O, di hindi ka na pwede mag-COMELEC, presidente na ng Philippines yan eh. May dalawa kang way dyan, di ba, para mapatanggal mo sa trabaho, mapatanggal mo sa posisyon. Either ipa-impeach mo, so sa Congress ka pupunta, di ba? Wag na tayo doon. Or, saka magpa-file? Supreme Court, di ba? Ko warrant to petition, sabihin natin, no? Kasi naturalized citizen. Hmm. May dalawa kang way. May dalawa kang paraan para mo may full credit yan. Pwede mo sabihin na the Supreme Court sitting en banc, no? O pwede mo sabihin na Presidential Electoral Tribunal. Ngayon, ano opinion ko? Ano sabihin nyo dapat sa bar? Sabihin nyo Supreme Court sitting en banc. Kasi yun nakalagay sa Constitution mismo. No? At hindi kayo imamali kung yun nakalagay sa Consti, di ba? Okay, yun lang po pala, no? Yun lang yung point ko. Pwede ka mag-file sa Supreme Court Sitting en Banc, also called as PET. Okay, so does the PET exercise a quasi-judicial power? No. It is judicial power. Baka sabihin nyo admin. Mali, hindi admin yan. Hindi admin power yan. Judicial power kasi this is the Supreme Court. Okay, next tayo, no? Okay. Ito pa is next, no? Ang ano pa, pag presidente saka vice president, ang nagka-canvas po ng boto, ah, pag presidential at saka vice presidential election, yun sa dalawa na yan, nagka-canvas po ng boto, Congress. Pero may unofficial yan lagi eh. 'Di ba? Yung sa mga NAMFREL, mga ganyan. Unofficial yun. Ang official po talagang counting ng votes, Congress ang gumagawa. Okay? Bago matapos yung session nila. Ano? Kasi magkakaroon na ng bagong set of senators. Okay. The COMELEC is proscribed from doing unofficial or unofficial canvass of said votes. Okay. Okay tayo. Next tayo, the term. Ito, gusto ko i-tackle din to. Pwedeng matanong dito, no? Ito, tanong. Sabihin natin, si President naka-6 na taon sa posisyon, no? Pwede ba siyang lumaban as Vice President in the next election? Sabihin natin, got an example, no? Si BBM, President siya ngayon. Pwede ba siyang mag-Vice President sa 2028 presidential election? So, tingnan natin, no? The President and the Vice President shall serve for a term of 6 years. Nakalagay po dito, the President shall not be eligible for re-election. What does re-election mean? Re-election means election to the same position. Yan po ang sagot nyo pag tinanong kayo ng ganun. Can the President become a senator? Can the President become a mayor of Manila? Mayor of Makati? The answer is yes. Kasi the president, kasi ang sagot dyan is yung salitang re-election, no? Different position na po yung VP, senator, at saka mayor. So, pwede. Okay, next. Ito pa po, no? Ito, applicable po ito in real life. So pwede tayo matanong dito why. Ito po yung nangyari kay Gloria Arroyo, no? No person who has succeeded and served as president and has served for more than 4 years shall be qualified for election to the same office at any time. So ano po yung dalawang conditions dito? She succeeded as president and she served for more than 4 years as president. Hindi na po siya pwedeng ma-re-elect, no, to the same position. Yung nangyari po kay Gloria, 3 taon pa lang po si Erap. 1998 to 2001. Okay, si Erap. 2001 na EDSA 2, umalis na sa posisyon, nag-succeed po as VP si Gloria. So from 2001 to 2004, 3 taon, si Gloria po ang presidente ng Pilipinas through succession. Okay. Pwede ba siyang lumaban in the 2004 elections against FPJ? The answer is yes. Because she succeeded and served as president, but she did not serve for more than 4 years. She only served for approximately 3 years. So, naka 9 years siya in total, basically. Pwede po yun. Pero kung sabihin natin, nag-resign si Erap 1999, 1 taon lang sa position si Erap, tapos nag-serve na po as president si Gloria, hindi na siya pwedeng maka-elect in 2004. Iba na magiging presidential candidate ng Lakas CMD. O, yun yung party nila. Okay, so the VP, punta po tayo sa VP, no? The VP shall not serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. What does this mean? Ibig po sabihin ang VP, 12 years ang maximum niyan. 6. Tapos nakalagay po dito, shall not serve for more than 2 consecutive. So ang tanong, pwede bang may interval? Parang senador, naka 12 years, pahinga ng ilang taon, tapos laban ulit, pwede. Tandaan nyo ha, ang VP po, hindi siya 6 years lang. Ang VP po in theory, pwedeng maging 24 years yan in total. 6-12, nagpahinga ng isang cycle. O, o, 12 years pa ulit. Pwede yun. Pwede pong 24 years as VP. Parang senador, no? Marami pong mga senador na naka 24 years na sa upuan. Marami, no? Hindi lang 12, naka 24. Pwede po yun. Okay. Voluntary renunciation of the office for any length of time shall not be considered as an interruption in the continuity of service for the full. Okay, you get the point. Voluntary resignation, no? Okay, next tayo. Ito Um, tandaan niyo po, no? As a general rule, pag nagkaroon po ng appointment sa cabinet position, kailangan pag cabinet member ka, kailangan ng president ng approval ng Commission on Appointments. Isa po sa ang isa po exception diyan pag ginawang cabinet secretary ang vice president. Example po si VP Sara Duterte, 'di ba siya ang department secretary ng DepEd. Okay, siya po ang department secretary ng DepEd. Hindi po ito kailangang i-confirm ng Commission on Appointments, no? Automatic 'yan. Siya talaga ang magiging appointee as Department Secretary ng DepEd. No? Ito po yan. Housing czar naman to. 2017 bar. Okay? The Office of the President does not have to submit the appointment to the Commission on Appointment. Okay? Pero as a general rule, kailangan i-approve ng CA, Commission on Appointments, ang Department Secretaries. Okay, next tayo. Rule on succession. Ito lang po ang important dyan. Wag na kayong malito pa. No? Kung matatanong man po kayo sa succession sa bar exam, ang usual na tanong dyan, no? Ah, Siyempre, hindi yung namatay lang yung president. Siyempre, hindi ganun. Napakadali naman ang sagot eh. Di ba? Pag ganun na nangyari, edi VP ang sagot, no? Napakadali. Magkakaroon po ng problem dyan pag nawala silang pareho. Or yung vice president ang nawala. O ulitin ko, pag po president lang yung namatay, napakadali po ng tanong. Napakadali ng tanong kasi alam naman ng lahat pati yung mga non ano no non as hindi mga, yung mga hindi aspiring lawyers alam nila mangyayari. Alam nila, no? Ngayon, ito po ang mga possible na sabihin ko sa inyo, bar questions with respect to succession under Article 7. Namatay pareho, president at saka vice at saka paano pag ang nabakante, vice president. Yan ang mga pwedeng tanong. Okay, doon muna tayo sa unang tanong, sabihin natin namatay sila pareho, no? Namatay sila pareho, may TV series nga na ganito eh, no? Ano ang mangyayari? Tandaan niyo po ang Senate President or ang House Speaker, Speaker of the House, they can act, no? Of course, mauna muna ni Senate President, mas mataas yan eh, no? Yung Senate President, acting President. Hindi po incumbent President, tatandaan nyo ha. Acting President lang po. Okay? In other words, ang presidente, o pag po, patay din yung Senate President, patay din siya, House Speaker. Okay? Tandaan niyo po, ang Senate President at saka ang House Speaker, hindi po sila pwede maging incumbent President talaga. Acting lang sila. Ang presidente po, magiging incumbent lang talaga yun. Siya talaga yung presidente for 6 years kung nagkaroon ng eleksyon. Tandaan niyo yan. Wala pong, or vice president. Diba? Or vice president. Dalawa lang po ang senaryo, no? Para magkaroon ka talaga ng permanent, no, na presidente talaga, hindi acting, hindi temporary. Dalawa. Kaya like ko dito there are only two ways, no, to have a permanent, no, president of the Philippines, no. Wag palang permanent ang pangit. To have a president who acts in a permanent capacity, yan. Mas legally precise. There are only two ways to have a president, ayan, who acts in a permanent capacity. O, ayan, hindi temporary. Number one is election. And two, the vice president. Yan. Succeeds to the position. Yan. Dalawa lang. Okay? Yan. Ganda. Okay, so dalawang paraan lang po para magkaroon ng president na permanent capacity, election, and the vice president succeeds to the position. So the vice president will become the president of the Philippines if the president dies, naging permanently disabled, nag-resign, or na-remove sa trabaho. Paano yan? Impeachment, normally. Okay? Next naman, tandaan natin, so ayan, ang Senate President or in his, pag ganyan na lang, or the Speaker of the House can only become an acting president. No? Kung namatay po yung president at saka yung vice president. No? Kung gusto maging permanent capacity ng Senate President, ano ang kailangan niyang gawin? Dito po papasok, no? Lagyan pa natin isang tab pa ulit, no? Why? Because the Congress shall by law. Okay. Hindi, hindi yan. Ito. Magkakaroon ng special election. Anyway, di ko lang kailangan ilagay, no? Get niyo po yan, no? So, tandaan natin, ang Senate President at saka Speaker of the House, they cannot become presidents, no? Who will act in a permanent capacity. Hindi po pwede, no? Acting lang, no? So, magkakaroon po ng special elections for this one. Okay, may kakaroon po ng special elections for this one, no? Para ma-elect kung sino talaga ang magiging presidente ng Pilipinas. By the way, meron dito na hindi ko na ilagay, no? The Congress shall by law provide who shall serve as president in case of death. Ayan. Okay. Ilagay natin dito, no? What happens? Ayan. If both, ayan, the Senate President and the Speaker of the House dies, ayan, become permanently incapacitated, disabled, ayan. Ito pong nangyayari, the Congress, ayan, by law. Okay. Napagtahi-tahi na po natin, no? Okay. Yan. Okay, kompleto. One more time. There are only two ways to have a president who acts in a permanent capacity, election, and the vice president succeeds to the position. So, the VP will become the president and permanent, no? Dies, permanently disabled, removed, or resigned. The Senate President or the Speaker, no, in case the Senate President is unable, no, incapacitated to become the acting president, they can only become acting presidents, no? In case the President and the Vice President die, become permanently disabled, removed, resign. Okay? The Senate President or the Speaker of the House, ayan, can become the President. Okay? Who will act in a permanent capacity if they will win. Yan. In an election which will be called by the Congress. Tandaan nyo po, sino ba ang nagko-call ng special elections? Tandaan nyo to. Ang nagko-call po ng special elections palagi Congress. May namatay na congressman. Bakante yung posisyon na yon, no? Last week lang po may namatay na congressman. ano pa mangyayari sa position niya? Vacant yun. Until there is a special election para ma-replace yung congressman na yun, and this replacement will serve for the unexpired term of the congressman who died. Okay? Anyway, ito, Section 10 po ito, no? In a special election. As pro as pro as provided under Section 10. Kailangan ilagay masyado mahaba na yan. May mga, ayan. Ayan, no? Sa Section 10, so ayan na, pwede po Senate President or Speaker of the House, pwede sila maging President who acts in a permanent capacity if nanalo sila sa special election. Paano po magkakaroon ng special election? So, Section 10, Article 7. What the Section 10 provides? What the Section 10 provides? Yes. The Congress shall, ayan, no, at 10 o'clock in the morning of the third day. Grabe, may mga at the morning of the third day pa, no, after the vacancy in the offices of the President and Vice President occurs. Convene in accordance with its rules without need of a call. Ayan. And within 7 days, enact a law calling for a special election. O, ayan. By law. Ayan. So ito po ngayon, what happens if both the President, Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives die, becomes, who will become the acting president na lang? If both the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives die, okay. The Congress shall by law provide who shall serve as president in case of death, okay, the acting president. Ibig po sabihin nito, namatay si Senate President, namatay din si Speaker of the House. Ibig sabihin yan, no? Kasi nakalagay po sa Section 7, ay sa Section 8, nakalagay dyan, no? The President of the Senate or in case of his inability. Inability includes death. So pag namatay si Senate President, sino acting president? Si Speaker. O pag namatay si Speaker, doon tayo magkakaproblema. Sino papalit? Kailangan ng law for that. Acting President ulit, Acting President. Okay? Remember, no? So note, no? To have a president, no, in a permanent capacity, ganun pala yung sulat, there must be a special election. Okay? Tandaan nyo, kailangan ng special election o yung VP, sitting VP, sa yung um, mag-a-assume na president in a permanent capacity. No? Pag magugulahan na, may next ako sasabihin dito. Okay? Wait lang. Okay, tandaan niyo po yung tinakil natin previously, puro president lang to ha. Wala pa po tayo sa topic ng vice president. Sa president lang tayo, so ano ulit ang rules? Ulitin ko, pwede ka lang maging president in a permanent capacity if may election or you are the vice president. Okay, so the Senate President or the Speaker of the House, they only act in an acting capacity. Okay, kung gusto ng Senate President or ng Speaker of the House maging presidente ng Pilipinas, kailangan ng special election at manalo sila doon, no? Dapat pala hindi ganyan, dapat ganyan. Ganyan tayo dito. Palmas ka na ganyan. Yun. Okay, ayos tayo. So, ito lang po yung mga topics dito, no? So, the Senate President or the Speaker, pwede lang sila maging President in a permanent capacity kapag may special election. The special election will be called by the Congress by law. Special law po. O ngayon, ito naman. Paano kung namatay si Senate President at saka si Speaker of the House? So, naubos na talaga yung Big Four. Basically, yung four highest officials of the executive and the legislative departments, namatay sila lahat. Sabihin natin, no? What will happen? Hindi natin ngayon kilala kung sino ang successor. We do not know. Department Secretary ba yan ng DILG? Department Secretary ba yan ng ano pa ba? DPWH? General ba? We don't know. We don't know, no? Ano po ang remedy dyan? The Congressional Bylaw. Ayan. Provide who shall serve as president in case of death, permanent disability, or resignation of the acting president. Ibig sabihin ng salitang of the acting president, namatay parehong Senate at saka House Speaker. Kasi kung namatay si Senate President, buhay si House Speaker. Yun ang sagot. Si House Speaker ang acting president. So, ibig po sabihin nito, patay sila lahat. Apat, sabihin natin, no? Okay. So, note, there are two laws mentioned here. First is the law for the calling of the special election. That's the first law. Yung pong first law na to, president in a permanent capacity to. Special election yan. The second law is the law to determine who will be the acting president in case the president, vice president, senate president, and the house speaker die, become permanently incapacitated, or disabled, were removed, or have resigned. Okay? Nga tinanda. Kasi syempre, matataas na posisyon yan. The vice president, the senate president, and the house speaker. Yan. Sana po nagiget nyo, no? Ulit, so, consistent pa rin tayo. Magigilang pong president in a permanent capacity, dalawang paraan lang. Election, whether yung general election natin, no? Or special election. Or si vice president in a permanent capacity, siya ang magsasucceed. Okay? Wait lang, kailangan natin dito ah. Ayan pala. And the vice, or pala. Election, whether general or special. Okay? So yung mga succession na yan sa president, acting lang yan. Lagi acting lang unless vice president. Okay, sige. No, may show ako, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan ng show, namatay lahat eh. Tapos ang naging presidente ng ng US ano do sa show nakalimutan ko yung name, parang department secretary, something like that, no? Ayun. Anyway, let's move on, no? Hindi naman sa Pilipinas 'yun, no? So next tayo, no? Paano pag merong vacancy sa vice president? Yan, no? What happens? Yan. If there is a vacancy in the vice president, na? In the position of vice president of the Philippines, in the position of vice president of the Philippines. Yan. Okay. Mas malinaw. Ganyan din, lagyan din natin ng ganun sa taas, no? Pag dinigay ko na sa inyo itong reviewer na to, mas maganda na siya. No? Ganito na rin maayos. Yan. Pag natanong kayo dito, kung testingin kayo, alam nyo na yung sagot kasi di na kayo mapapa-confuse. No? Di na kayo magugulo ng exam. Yun. Okay. What happens if there is a vacancy in the position of the President of the Philippines, a senator or a member of the House? Can become the Vice President of the Philippines if these three conditions are present. If there was a vacancy in the position, obviously, either a senator, yeah, or a member of the House of Representatives was nominated by the president to become the vice president, and the nominee was confirmed by a majority vote of all members of the both houses voting separately. Tama natin, voting separately. Lagi naman eh. No? Hindi naman pala lagi. Pag sinabing naka-joint session, isang session, pero magka-separate pa rin silang boboto. Hindi po pinagbe-merge talaga yung number ng Senate at saka ng House kasi, ng House of Representatives kasi, lugi yung Senate, di ba? Ilan lang sila? 24. Hundreds and hundreds yung Congress, no? Okay, wait lang, may ano ako dito. Bigyan ko po kayo ng ng real life example for this one. Si ano po ito, no, si Vice President Chufisto Ginggona. Okay, bigyan ko kayo ng example nito, no. Before po, si Chufisto Ginggona, siya po ay excuse me, senador, no? Senador po siya ng Pilipinas. Okay, no? Senador siya, hindi po siya Senate President. O ngayon po, um, sabihin ko dito, si Erap, 'di ba, naalis sa pagiging presidente ng Pilipinas. So, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo became the president in a permanent capacity kasi Gloria Arroyo was the vice president of the Philippines and nag-assume po siya ng president upon the removal of Erap. Okay. Ngayon, vacant po yung vice president. Tandaan nyo, hindi po automatic na Senate President ang magiging VP. Which makes sense. Alam niyo po kung bakit? Kasi VP and President, Executive Department. Di ba? Ang Senate President, Legislative. So, hindi pwedeng, pag nabakante yung VP, automatic Senate President yung Vice. Mali po yun. Mali. Di ba? Tama naman. No? Kasi bakit naman ganun? Eh di nag-merge na yung Legislative at saka Executive. So, paano po ngayon nagkaroon ng Vice President of the Philippines nung naging si Gloria na yung presidente ng Pilipinas? Ito po yung naging procedure, no? Ninominate po ni Gloria si Chopisto Ginggona, a senator, as the Vice President of the Philippines. And yung kanyang nomination, it was confirmed by both houses. So, naging si Chopisto Ginggona po yung Vice President ng Philippines hanggang 2004. O, trivia lang. Siya po ba ang naging running mate ni Gloria for the 2004 national elections? The answer is no. Ang naging running mate po ni Gloria is si Kabayan, Noli de Castro, na nanalo sila pareho, no? So, yun po, no? Si Chofisto Ginggona naging siyang vice president for approximately 3 years. 3 years po, no? From February 2001 to 2004, June 30. So, more than 3 years pala. Okay? Get nyo po, no? Ayun, succeeded by Noli de Castro. Sana po nagiget. Okay? Ganun po, no, hindi automatic. No, in this case nga po, no, hindi nga Senate President si Chofisto Ginggona, si Vice President Chofisto Ginggona, siya naging VP. Okay? Kasi any member of the House, any member of the Senate, pwede maging VP. Once nagkaroon ng vacancy sa VP position. Okay? O ngayon, yung appointment nila as VP, appointment tuloy. Yung kanilang confirmation, wag palang appointment, yung kanilang confirmation as VP. Permanent ba to? The answer is yes. Permanent to. Okay, permanent siya, hindi siya acting capacity. Okay, which leads me to my example here. Okay, Mr. A is the President of the Philippines. Okay, Mr. B is the VP. So, Mr. A dies, so Mr. B becomes the President. Okay, later, Mr. C, the Senate President, so senador siya, no? Pasok siya rito sa a senator, di ba? Became the Vice President of the Philippines after he was nominated by Mr. B. Kasi si Mr. B na yung President, and his nomination was confirmed by both houses. After 1 year, Mr. B resigned from his position as the President of the Philippines. So basically, 2 beses pong nagkaroon ng vacancy sa President of the Philippines. Namatay yung si A, pangalawa, nag-resign si B. Okay. Sino ngayon ang magiging bagong presidente ng Pilipinas? Si C, malamang, siya VP eh. Ang tanong ko sa inyo ngayon, yung bang pagiging presidente ni C ngayon, is this acting capacity or permanent capacity? The answer is permanent capacity siya. Okay? Kasi po, galing siya sa VP. VP na siya bago nagkaroon ng resignation si B. Okay? At sinabing VP, wala pong acting capacity na VP kung mapapansin nyo dyan sa sections na yan. So yung VP niya na yan, VP siya in a permanent capacity. At nakalagay po sa sections dito sa Article 7, the Vice President becomes the President in case the President resigns from his position. So in this scenario po, si C ang magiging President in a permanent capacity. Sana po nagiget natin. Okay? So sabihin natin, no, history na lang naman, medyo i-twist natin ng konti. Di ba, nag-resign si Erap. So si Gloria, from 2001 to 2004. At that time, sabihin natin, si Gloria nag-resign din. Gingono will be the President of the Philippines in a permanent capacity kasi VP siya at the time of the resignation ni Gloria. Sana po nagiget nyo. Okay? Yung po mga acting capacity ng President, kung makikita nyo, tumalon. From Senate President, biglang Presidente. Hindi pwede yun kasi from Legislative, biglang permanent ka ng Executive. Diba? That is weird. Diba? Weird yun. Legislative ka lang dati. So, pag magiging Presidente ka later on, acting lang. Diba? Kasi hindi ka naman naging permanent capacity as a member of the Executive Department. Sa Legislative ka lang eh. On the other hand, ito pong si Mr. C sa example natin na to, permanent talaga siyang nasa Executive. Diba? So, sana pa nagiget niyo yung ano no, yung galawan no. Okay, malilito no sa bar. No, basta tandaan niyo pag direkta from speaker o from Senate President, biglang President, acting lang lagi 'yan. No? Unless nagkaroon ng special election yung Congress, by law, tapos nanalo si speaker, ay si Senate o si speaker. Senate President or si speaker dun sa special elections. Okay? Pero pa naging VP muna si Senate President, sabihin natin, Senate President siya. Pwede naman siya maging VP, di ba? Pag nagkaroon ng vacancy sa VP, kasi siya i-nominate ni new President. Oh, ayan. Pag naging ano siya, VP siya, tapos nag-resign ulit yung Presidente, siya na yung permanent na magiging Presidente ng Philippines. Sana nagiget po natin. Medyo napahaba yung discussion natin sa ano, sa succession. Pero you get the point, no? Just in case lang, no? Magilan tayo maingat. Baka biglang itanong sa inyo, testingin kayo. Ayan ang important dyan. Okay, so privileges, inhibitions, and disqualifications tayo ng president. So, eto ang pinaka-important. The president, the vice president, the members of the cabinets, their deputies, and assistants. So, kasali po sa deputies yung USEC, USEC ng DOTC, USEC ng DILG, USEC ng DOJ, no? Kasali diyan, saka ASEC kasi assistant. Okay? These officials, no? They cannot hold any other office or employment during their tenure. Ibig kong sabihin nung any other office, this excludes ex officio capacity. Okay? At nakalagay po dito, unless otherwise provided in the Constitution. So may dalawa pong exceptions dito. First is, unless it is otherwise provided by the Constitution, and the second is ex officio positions. Okay? So first is, example lang sa unless otherwise provided by the Constitution. Example po dyan is VP. Di ba? Si VP pwede maging member ng cabinet. At hindi po kailangan ng confirmation ng Commission on Appointments. Di ba? Next, sa ex officio position, no? By virtue of his office nga eh. 'Di ba? So, ang example ko nga dito, lagi, no? Chairman ang DOTC secretary ng LRTA. O, 'di ba? Dalawang posisyon 'yan. Kung iisipin niyo, pero hindi po siya unconstitutional because ex officio capacity yung pagiging niyan chairman ng DOTC. Okay. Ulitin ko, no? Hindi pwede ang double compensation dahil o hindi pwede ang additional compensation as a chairman, as the chairman of the LRTA because he is already paid by from the salary of his position as the DOTC secretary. 'Di ba? He is yung his salary, no? as the DOT secretary is also his salary yun as the chairman of the LRTA. Isa lang ang salary niya dapat. Hindi pwedeng double salary. Okay? Tandaan nyo to, no? Para tong ano, no? Para tong sabi ko nga sa inyo, parang constitutional commission, constitutional commissioner, no? Parang executive department. They shall not practice any other profession. So, the vice president cannot practice law kung lawyer siya. He cannot participate in any business. Okay. Tandaan niyo po, ang nakalagay dyan, participate. Pwede bang magmay-ari ng negosyo? The answer is yes. Iba po ang owning a share in the business at participating in the business. Ibig po sabihin nito, active participation. CEO, mga ganyan, president, COO, CFO, hindi pwede. Hindi ka dapat naging corporate officer ng isang kumpanya. While you are a president, vice president, member of the cabinet, deputy assistant, pwede kang magmay-ari. Pwede kang magmay-ari. At you cannot be, obvious na to, financially interested in any contract, franchise, or special privilege granted by the government. Obvious, no? Next tayo. Okay, so tandaan lang po natin dito sa practice any other profession, no? So, i-correlate lang natin siya sa practice of law. Alam nyo naman sa ethics kung ano ang practice of law, di ba? Kahit anong application of law, legal principles, legal doctrines, lahat po yan practice of law. So, gagawa po tayo ng example, no? Baka matanong. Sabihin natin, professor sa law school, no? May apat na professor sa law school. Isa, COMELEC commissioner. Yung isa, undersecretary ng DILG, sabihin natin. Yung isa, judge ng RTC. Tapos yung isa, congressman. Sa apat na to, sino ang parang hindi unconstitutional, no? So valid yung pagtuturo sa law school, no? As a lawyer, di ba? Yung pong judge ng RTC at saka yung congressman, pwede. Pwede silang magturo sa law school kasi they are allowed to practice their profession. Okay? Actually nga po sa yung sa judiciary nakalagay mismo sa No Code of Judicial Conduct, pwede sila mag-conduct ng lectures, 'di ba? And teach. Legislative pwede din, no? Pwede din. Yung pong unconstitutional diyan, no, yung hindi pwede yung sa undersecretary ng DILG at saka COMELEC commissioner. Bawal. Kasi no, sa Article 9 at saka dito po sa Article 7 nakalagay po ito pareho, they cannot practice any other profession. This includes the practice of law. And teaching in a law school involves the practice of law. So, hindi siya pwede, no? O, yun lang po ang point ko. Tandaan nyo, they can own businesses but they cannot participate in the business. Okay, move tayo, no? So, ito po, no? Kaso po ito, no? Ano natin, itakil natin, no? Parang example. President A issued an executive order which states that even if allowed by law or by the ordinary functions of his position, a member of the cabinet, USEC, assistant SEC, or other appointed officials of the executive department may, in addition to his primary position, hold not more than two positions in the government and government corporations and receive the corresponding compensation therefore. Provided that this limitation shall not apply to ad hoc bodies or committees or to boards, councils, or bodies of which the president is the chairman. So is this executive order unconstitutional? Yes, it is unconstitutional. Kasi nakalagay nga hold not more than two positions and nakalagay nga po dito sa Section 6, Article 7, no? They shall not, 'di ba, hold any other office. Pwede lang sila mag-hold ng office kung ex officio or unless otherwise provided by the Constitution. One example is the VP can become a cabinet member as provided under the Constitution. So hindi pala Section 6. This is Section, wait a minute. Ito na ilagay. 13. Okay, Section 13. Okay? Sige. So, unconstitutional po siya because it is directly in contravention of the Constitution. Next tayo, no, sa spouses at saka sa relatives naman po, no? Wala po, ngayon po, may mga ano, no, ito, prediction ko rito, hindi to matatanong kasi mas specific po ito sa, ano, sa criminal law. No, meron po yung mga code of conduct. Baka doon po pumasok to normally. Pero itakil pa rin po natin sa Constitution kasi kasali to sa syllabus natin, no? So the president, no, tandaan niyo, president lang to ha. Malamang, hindi naman wala namang appointing power ang vice president, di ba? Ng mga cabinet member, di ba? Okay, so section, ano rin po ito, no? Section 13 din, no? The spouses and relatives by consanguinity or affinity within the fourth civil degree of the president shall not during his tenure be appointed as members of the constitutional commissions, the ombudsman, secretary, blah, 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 including GOCCs and their subsidiaries. Napakasimple lang po ito, tatandaan nyo. Hindi pwede sa executive departments, hindi pwedeng constitutional commissioner, hindi pwedeng ombudsman. Hanggang fourth civil degree. So ano po ibig sabihin nito? Pinsang buo, hindi pwede. Tito, hindi pwede. Pamangkin, hindi pwede. Kapatid, hindi pwede. Magulang, hindi pwede. Lolo, hindi pwede. Apo, hindi pwede. Whether consanguinity or affinity. So cousin-in-law, also not allowed. Basically, pinsang buo ng asawa mo, hindi mo pwedeng i-appoint as your department secretary, undersecretary, and so on. Okay? Pero tandaan nyo, ba't ba legislative? Di naman ina-appoint yan. Judiciary, judges, and justices. Ayan. Okay? So tandaan nyo, pwede bang i-appoint ang pinsang buo ng presidente as a justice of the Supreme Court? The answer is yes. Wala po dyan sa listahan eh. Ang sa listahan lang po, independent bodies, di ba? Ombudsman, constitutional commissions, at saka heads of bureaus or offices. By the way, tanggalin na natin pala to, no? I don't want you, ano, kasi, ganito, yun na lang, okay? Pwede po silang i-appoint as justice kahit na pinsang buo. Judges, pwede din. No? Pwede po yan. Hindi po pwede itong independent members of... By the way, ito pala, no, nakalagay po dito, heads of bureaus or offices. So, tanong, commissioner ng CHR, Commission on Human Rights, pinsang buo ni President. Tanong, pwede ba yan o hindi? The answer is no. Kasi head of an office yan. Di ba? Kahit na hindi po siya constitutional commission, head of an office pa din yan. So, hindi po pwedeng i-appoint si pinsang buo ni President bilang chairman ng CHR. Okay. O commissioner. Get nyo ba yan? Basta pag judiciary pwede. Okay. Later on, we will tackle tong midnight appointments. We will tackle this later on. Presidential immunity tayo, no? Tandaan nyo, presidential immunity, it only applies to incumbent presidents, no? After the presidency, pwede na silang file ng kaso. Okay? Pwede na silang file ng kaso. As long as incumbent, hindi pwede. Why? What's the reason why we cannot file any kind of suit against the president? Because it would disturb the functions of the president. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo po, ang legislative department, maraming heads. Di ba? Lahat po ng senador, lahat ng congressman, heads yan sa legislative. How about sa judiciary? 15, di ba? 15 justices of the Supreme Court. Sa executive department, isa lang po ang head. Si president lang. Kaya po ganyan ang, kung mapapansin nyo, kaya ganyan po yung presidential immunity. Alam nyo nga po, no, na ano lang, no, di ba presidential immunity? Pero sabi, pwedeng ma-expose to quo warranto ang president. So pwede natin sabihin exception sa to the general rule, di ba? Ang general rule is hindi pwedeng ihabla whether civil, administrative, or criminal ang presidente. Ano yung mga exceptions? The impeachment proceedings, pwede. Alam naman natin yan. Alam naman hindi pwede, di ba? Pwedeng i-impeach at saka pwede natin ipasok, no, yung however, ayan. But letter J. Ito lang. However, an impeachment proceeding, no? and a quo warranto petition, yan, can be filed against the president. Okay? Basically, yun yung exemptions, no? Kasi quo to applicable siya sa lahat ng mga officers kapag ineligible kasi they are not qualified to become a public officer in the first place, no? Kasi hindi sila qualified. Okay, so this immunity pertains only to the president and not to the department secretary. So in Gloria versus Court of Appeals, even if the department even if the DepEd secretary is an alter ego of the president, he cannot invoke the immunity from suit. Tanong, is the vice president immune from suit? The answer is no. Why? Kasi po, hindi naman siya ang head ng executive department, no? Ang trabaho po, ito lang po, no? Practicality na lang. Bakit po inaalaw ng Constitution na ang Vice President gawing Department Secretary? Bakit? Kasi po, kapag hindi siya ginawan Department Secretary, magiging pong limited ang trabaho ng Vice President. Why? Kasi ang function po talaga ng Vice President is to substitute the President in case the President dies. Yun talaga yung main function niya. No? Yun po talaga ang main function niya. Yun ang primary function niya. Substitute. Okay? So, kaya po siya inaalaw na department secretary without confirmation needed, no? Para meron siya talagang marami siyang maging trabaho, marami siyang maging functions. Okay. So hindi po siya immune from suit. So si Vice President pwedeng ihabla. Pwedeng file ng criminal case, pwedeng file ng admin case, pwedeng file ng civil case. Whether co-warranto yan, whether impeachment yan o hindi. Kahit na action for quasi-delict, pwede. On the other hand, the President, hindi pwede ang quasi-delict case, murder case, kidnapping case, hindi pwede unless impeachment proceeding yan. Any other case, unless impeachment proceeding yan or co-warranto. Okay? Further, an accused in a criminal case in which the president is the complainant cannot raise the presidential privilege as a defense, no? Why? Kasi only the president can invoke. No? Hindi pwede yung, hindi porket nag-file ng kaso, yung presidente laban sa isang akusado, di ba? May invoke ng akusado yung presidential privilege, no? Only the president can invoke this. And since the president has this privilege, the president can also waive this privilege if he or she chooses to do so. Kasi privilege nga siya. No? So what if he already finished his term as president? After his tenure, the president cannot invoke the immunity from suit for civil damages arising out of acts which were not performed in the exercise of official duties as a president. No? Why? Sige nga, sabihin natin. Okay. Ito na pala, nailagay ko rito. Tatanungin ko pa kayo, no? Sabi po dito sa Estrada versus Desierto at saka sa Resident Marine Mammals versus Reyes, both landmark cases, no? Yung sa Resident Marine Mammals, landmark yan sa remedial law din, di ba? If the civil damages case, no? If the suit for civil damages arose out of acts which were performed in his official functions as a president, sabihin natin, finailan siya ng quasi-daily kasi nasira daw yung bundok. Bayaran 100 million. Ganyan. Bayaran daw yung magbabayad daw yung president. Kasi hindi maganda yung naging actions niya, no? Yung kanyang mga orders, yung kanyang mga regulations na in-issue nung siya pa ay presidente. Tanong, is this allowed? No. Because the doctrine of state immunity applies. Meron po kayong makikita, may konting correlation talaga minsan yung bumabalik na ganun. Nag-criss-cross tayo ng konti. Sa political o konti lang yan. Pero minsan talaga, helpful siya para makita natin ang dahilan bakit may ganyang nakasulat sa kaso. Kasi pag in the exercise of his official duties, the ultimate liability will fall to the state because this is a public officer who acted in his official duties. Di ba? The state cannot be sued without its consent. Doon yun mag-a-apply. Okay? Paano pag hindi in the exercise of his official duties as a president? Halimbawa, plunder. Official duties ba yun? Di ba? Kidnapping. Wala mang hindi na pwede mag-invoke ng ah, immunity from suit. Anyway, ayusin natin, no? If he finished his term as president, wala na pong presidential immunity. Pwede pong maging immune si ex-president for other reasons. Yun. So ito, hinabla siya for actions in the exercise of his official duties. Hindi po presidential immunity ang defense. Ang defense is the doctrine of state immunity or the immunity from suit of states. E paano kung criminal case for plunder? Hindi na talaga. Walang presidential immunity, walang doctrine of state immunity. Kasi he acted in bad faith, di ba? He acted in his personal function. So pwede talaga siyang ihabla, ipakulong. Okay, next tayo, no? Pwede bang isampina ng Congress si President? O mag-appear ka dito, inquiry in aid of legislation. Pwede ba yun? The answer is no because of the doctrine of interdepartmental courtesy. This demands that the highest officials of each department be exempt from compulsory processes of the other department. So that means ang department secretary pwede pong isampina ng Kongreso, pwedeng isampina ng Supreme Court. Pero ang presidente, hindi siya pwedeng isampina ng Congress at saka ng Supreme Court because he is the highest official of the executive department. Same thing po, no? Ang Congress hindi pwedeng isampina ang Justice of the Supreme Court because the Justice of the Supreme Court is the highest official of the judiciary. Hindi po Chief Justice. All of them are the highest officials of the judicial department, no? Yun. Okay? Same thing. Sa Supreme Court, hindi mo pwedeng isampina si congressman. Hindi mo pwedeng isampina ni Supreme Court si senator. Dahil dyan sa doctrine na yan. Okay, presidential privilege tayo, no? The executive privilege is the right of the president and high-level executive officers, no, to withhold information from Congress, courts, and ultimately the public. So, what are the kinds of executive privilege? Una is yung presidential communications privilege, no, which is ang hirap i-apply in real life. Next is deliberative process privilege. Next is diplomatic negotiations privilege. Next is informers privilege, state secrets privilege. Okay. Excuse me. Ayan, no. Sige, let's tackle this one. No. Ano po yung executive privilege, no? Ito isa is yung presidential's communications privilege, no? This applies to communications between the president and his close advisors in closed door cabinet meetings. So what are the elements, no? First, tanggalin ko nga itong ano, magpapahirap pa yan. Nope. It refers to the communication. What is the communication about? It refers to the quintessential and non-delegable presidential power, no? Presidential power communication. Anyway, mas madali ito pag inano ko sa inyo kapag ginawa natin example. Ayan. Wait, ayusin natin to. Masyado ko siyang pinaiksi. Let's fix this one. Ni-reverse yan ito. Ito, the communication dapat related. Yan. To the quintessential and non-delegable power of the president. Yun. Next is, the communication was received by the close advisor or the president himself. Okay. And, yan. Wala. Yeah. Yan. Okay, next. Ito tayo ah. Yan. Adequate need. Wag nang may ganyan. Kumpletuhin na lang natin yung ano. Yan. So first is the communication must be related to the quintessential and non-delegable power of the president. So quintessential is the most perfect embodiment of something, the concentrated essence of substance, whatever, ano ba nang ibig sabihin nun, no? On the other hand, non-delegable means that a power or duty cannot be delegated to another, or even if delegated, the responsibility remains with the obliger. Ano po example? Power to enter into executive agreements with other states. Quintessential and non-delegable power yan. And even if pwede natin siya i-delegate sa DFA Secretary, ang responsibility pa rin po nag-remain kay President. Why? Kasi yung pong ma-agree na executive department dyan, executive department, yung mapapag-agreehan na executive agreement dyan, pipirmahan pa rin po ni President. Okay? Power to enter into treaties. Presidential power yan. Quintessential and non-delegable, no? Tandaan nyo po, kadalasan naman sa power ng presidente, pwede talagang i-delegate. Di ba? Siyempre, kailangan mag-delegate ng presidente kasi maraming problema ang bansa. Maraming kailangan gawin sa bansa para umayos. So, magde-delegate talaga yan. Even if i-delegate natin sa DFA Secretary yung power to enter into treaties kasi siya yung magiging emisaryo eh sa ibang bansa, no? Sa ambassador ng kabilang bansa, si DFA Secretary ang makikipag-usap diyan kung ano yung magiging agreements, terms ng treaty natin, ng executive department, ng executive agreement or nung trade deal. Basically, mga deal sa ibang bansa ng mga trading ng mga commodities, no? Responsibility pa rin po ng presidente yan, no? Siya rin ang pipirma diyan at the end of the day. So, power to enter into treaties, example, power to enter into executive agreements are considered as considered as quintessential and non-delegable powers of the president. Sabihin natin, nagkaroon ng communication si President to the DFA Secretary. Sabi niya, oh, magbebenta tayo ng 1 billion pesos worth of bullets, ammunition, sabihin natin, sa another country. This communication is related to the quintessential and non-delegable power of the president. Yung communication na yun. Next, is the communication received or received by a close advisor of the president? Yes, it was received by a department secretary, a DFA secretary, the alter ego of the president. So the communication regarding the ammunition, sabi ni presidente, bibili tayo ng tangke sa kanila. The communication was received by the DFA secretary, di ba? A close advisor of the president from the president. So that means meron din pong second pasok din tayo sa second element. So first element pasok din, no? Lastly, there is no showing of a compelling need that would justify the limitation of the privilege and of the unavailability of information elsewhere by an appropriate investigating authority. Hindi na po kailangan, para di naman kailangan, di naman pala sa hindi kailangan. Pero ito, ilagay nyo lang. Ito talaga important dyan. Compelling need that would justify the limitation of the privilege. Ano ang normal na sinasabi? Nako, we must demand, no, the disclosure nitong pagbili ng tangke, nitong pagbili ng bala because of the right of to information of the people. Yan ang normal na sinasabi. Right to information namin, kailangan malaman namin kung ano ang trade deal na ini-enter natin with another country. Was there a compelling need that would justify the limitation of this privilege? No, ayan. So titimbangin po natin yung diplomatic privilege, yung mga di pala diplomatic privilege, yung diplomatic negotiations natin, the power of the country to enter into diplomatic negotiations at saka yung right to information ng tao. Normally po dyan, ang nananalo yung power of the country to enter into diplomatic negotiations kumpara do sa right to information ng mga mamamayan. Why? Because if The negotiations with another country or with other countries will be revealed, will be disclosed by the president before the execution of the agreement. No country will transact with the Philippines anymore for fear of disclosure, 'di ba? For fear of disclosure dun sa pagnenegotiate. Okay, so yun po example, no? Ang normal example nitong presidential communications privilege na yan, usapan ng department secretary at saka ni president. About what? Sa mga quintessential, napaka-important basically. At yung mga non-delegable powers ng president, at kung i-delegate man niya, the president remains responsible for these actions. No? So normally nga yan, diplomatic negotiations yan. No? So depende sa inyo kung paano niyo siyang ipi-plate, isasagot sa bar exam. Pwede niyo sabihin agad straight na lang, no? Diplomatic negotiations are privileged, no? Diplomatic negotiations are privileged, no? They are covered by they are included in the executive privilege yan, of the president not to reveal disclosures, no? Something like that. Pwede niyo sabihin na gano'n, pwede niyo sabihin presidential communications privilege kung mas gusto niyo mas mahirap, mas matindi sagot niyo. Pero either way will do, no? Hence, executive privilege is wider in scope as it encompasses any information which is of a sensitive matter that for reasons of public policy cannot be disclosed to the public, no? Okay, wait lang. May alot mali dito. Dapat ano to? Differentiate. Compare executive privilege and presidential communications privilege. Ako naman kung matatanong kayo dito, no, yung mga presidential communications na ganyan, no. I think kung ito talaga yung gagamitin nyo, for practicality purposes na lang, magagamit nyo lang to talaga pag tinanong kayo ng definition, like compare, distinguish, mga ganyan. Pero kung tatanong lang, is this privileged or not? Or should the president divulge this information? Ang sagot nyo na lang sa executive privilege na lang kayo in general. Hindi nyo na kailangang i-divide pa i-break down pa yung ganyang elements. Masyado nang mahirap. No? So, ayan. Ayan. Executive privilege is wider in scope as it compasses. Ayan. Meanwhile, ay, anyway, ayos na lang natin to pag binigay ni reviewer sa inyo. Meanwhile, the presidential communications privilege particularly refers to communications between the president in closed-door cabinet meetings. Ayan. So, ibig po sabihin nito, yung pong presidential communications privilege, actually, ang naging privilege po dito, yung usapan ni Department Secretary at saka ni President sa presidential communications privilege. Pag sinabi mong executive privilege, pati yung usapan ni DFA Secretary at saka nung representative ng kabilang bansa, covered din ng privilege. Not presidential communications privilege, but executive privilege in general. Kasi executive privilege includes diplomatic negotiations. Yun pala ibig ko sabihin. Okay? Sa presidential communications, si Department Secretary lang at saka si Presidente ang magkausap dyan. Okay. Deliberative process privilege. Ito po, normally, nababanggit ito sa judiciary. Pero covered pa rin po ang executive dito, no? So, deliberative process privilege includes, no, advisory opinions, recommendations, and deliberations comprising part of a process by which governmental decisions and policies are formulated. Haba niya. Ganito lang. This privilege includes deliberations, no, by which governmental decisions and policies are made. O, ganoon na lang. Deliberation nito kung saan ang mga desisyon at polisiya ng gobyerno ay nagagawa. May dalawang elements. First, it must be predecisional. The matter must be predecisional and it must be deliberative. What does predecisional means? What does what does predecisional mean? It must be previous and antecedent to the adoption of a decision or a policy. Ano po ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin, ito, yung mga communication, yung mga acts ng public official bago magkaroon ng official order, executive order, official proclamation, Supreme Court decision, Court of Appeals decision, lahat yan actually, no? Bago magkaroon ng law. Ito po yung mga previous and antecedent. These are acts that are previous and antecedent to the adoption of a decision, an executive order, a law. You get the point? Proclamation. Okay. And it must be deliberative, no? So deliberative process privilege, so isang element dyan is deliberative from the adjective itself. Okay? Next is predecisional. Okay? So deliberative means the matter, the communication must refer to the give and take deliberation or consultative process. Basically, ano ba ang usual example na ito? Sabihin natin, nagkaroon ng en banc, Supreme Court en banc yung case, no, will be resolved by the Supreme Court en banc. Yung usapan ng mga justices bago magkaroon ng decision, bago magkaroon ng ponente, yung sulat talaga, yung usapan nila, ano ba tingin nila, guilty ba o hindi? Granted ba o denied? Mga ganun, no? Nag-uusap sila. Yun po yung deliberative process privilege. This cannot be divulged. Otherwise, it will affect the independence of the judiciary in this case, no? Sa Supreme Court, di ba? Kasi, ano na, di ba? Mahihiya na, no, matatakot na yung justices to deliberate, di ba? Doon sa kaso, kung pati yung deliberations nila i-divulge. No? Siyempre, i-divulge dyan yung decision, no problem, di ba? Pero yung pati before that, di ba? Hindi na dapat siya covered. Okay, diplomatic negotiations privilege, we get it, no? Informers privilege, pakibasa na lang ito. Distinguish state secrets privilege, ano to? Military, diplomatic, and other national security matters, no? Paano, tatalunin ng ISIS sa Mindanao, di ba? Yung mga ganun. Executive privilege yan. Okay? Distinguish presidential communications privilege from deliberative process privilege. So ito nga. Pag sinabi mo presidential communications privilege, it means communications between the close advisors of the president and the president in closed-door cabinet meetings. Okay? It applies to the decision making of the president. Okay? Ayan, anyway, correct. Hmm. Well, una, ayusin natin to. In, yan. Meanwhile, deliberative process privilege applies na to the decision making of all officials, yan, of the government. Okay, next. The entirety, yan. And covers the final decisions. Yan. Covers the pre-decisional, yan, and final decisions of the president. Meanwhile, yan, deliberative process privilege includes, oh yun, you get the point. Okay, recommendations, okay, get. In short, ayan, yung una po, yung presidential communications privilege, president lang. Versus sa deliberative process privilege, executive, legislative, judiciary, pasok. Tapos sa presidential communications privilege, all documents, communication sa closed-door cabinet meetings, pareho siyang privilege. Meanwhile, sa deliberative process privilege, only those which are predecisional uncovered. Okay, you get the point. An implied claim of executive privilege is not allowed. It must be clearly asserted. And the president is the only executive official who can invoke executive privilege. So, kung tatandaan niyo po, may dalawang purely personal prerogatives ang president. Tandaan niyo, dalawa ha. Hindi niya pwedeng i-delegate kahit kanino. Yung pong power to enter into treaties, power to ano, pwede i-delegate yung functions niyan, di ba? Kasi pwede si DFA Secretary ang mamagitan. Pero tandaan niyo po, executive privilege at saka yung presidential immunity. Like ko dito, note. Ay, note, no? The, the presidential immunity and the executive privilege, no, are strictly personal. Yan. To the president. Napakaganda. Okay, tandaan niyo yan, ha. May isa pa yung residual power mamaya. No? The presidential immunity and the executive privilege are strictly personal to the president. These cannot this cannot be delegated to uh, his alter egos. Yan. O to the alter egos of the president. Huwag palang his. Yan. Okay tayo. So hindi pwedeng mag-executive privilege ang department secretary. Paano po 'yan, no? So ganito, sabihin natin nagkaroon ng legislative inquiry. So dapat pumunta po si department secretary, wala siyang choice, no? Wala siyang choice. Pag sinabi, pupunta siya, otherwise makokontempt siya sa legislative inquiry in aid of legislation. Ngayon, sabihin natin ang tinanong sa kanya ni Senator A about na sa state secrets, no? Paano ang galaw ng militar? Yun na ang tanong ng senador dun sa hearing, no? Senate hearing. Ano ang gagawin dapat ni Department Secretary? He cannot invoke the executive privilege himself. Ang sasabihin niya dapat dyan, please give me, no, an opportunity to ask the president, no, to invoke the executive privilege in his behalf. Tandaan niyo yan. Okay? When a subordinate executive official is being summoned by Congress on a matter which might be covered by executive privilege, ito yan, he must be afforded reasonable time to inform the president of the possible need for invoking the privilege. Okay? The president may not authorize her subordinates to exercise such power in their own behalf, no? Okay, ayan ah. In other words, the president may not authorize her subordinates to exercise the executive privilege in their own behalf, no? The subordinates can only exercise such power, yan, if the president, yan, orders, yan, them to invoke it on her behalf. O, yan. The privilege being an extraordinary power, no, must be wielded only by the highest official in the executive hierarchy, so the president. In other words, the president may not authorize her subordinates to exercise such power in their own behalf. The subordinates can only exercise such power if the president orders them to invoke it on her behalf. Tandaan nyo. So, tinawag. O, sige, invoke mo executive privilege kasi state secret yan. At after ng tawag, at saka po papasok yung secretary na, the president, I am invoking the executive privilege on behalf of the president. Something like that, no? We will clean this up further, no? Let's clean it up na lang, no? So, ganito. Ayusin natin to, hindi on her behalf. In other words, the president may not authorize her subordinates to exercise such power, no? Only she. Yan. Can exercise the same. Okay, so paano ngayon, 'di ba? It follows therefore that when a subordinate executive official is being summoned by Congress, ayan, he must be afforded reasonable time to inform the president or the executive secretary of the possible need for invoking the privilege. Sabihin natin, tumawag, tapos sabi ni president sa secretary, invoke mo yung executive privilege. We do not want to disclose that. Ang sasabihin lang ng secretary, the president is invoking. Yun pala. Wala palang on her behalf. Walang ganun. The president is invoking the executive privilege. No? I am conveying the message that, ganun. The president is invoking the executive privilege. Wala palang on her behalf, walang ganun. Kasi pag sinabi niyo on her behalf, on his behalf, naging parang yung subordinate mismo nag-exercise ng power. Mali. The president is invoking the executive privilege. Something like that. Okay? Para ma-maintain din natin, ma-preserve din natin that this privilege is strictly personal to the president. Yan, para mas malinis, no? Ayan, the right to information and executive privilege, nabanggit ko to previously, no? The right to information does not extend to matters recognized as privileged information. Why? Because the right to information is subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. And executive privilege is an exception to the right to information. Kasi nga, kasali siya dun sa subject to limitations, no, as provided by law. However, when executive privilege is raised, the president must clearly state the grounds why he is raising the executive privilege. Kasi this is a military strategy, something like that. This is part of a diplomatic negotiation with another state, something like that. Otherwise, the right to information is impaired. So, in other words, mere declaration is insufficient, no? The reason for such declaration must also be stated by the president. Yan. Okay, ganda. Okay, sige, ito muna tayo. First part ng video, no? Next part natin, itatakal natin, tatapusin natin yung buong executive department.